Well, folks, it's been one of those days where I honestly just kind of want to take a hammer to my internet router, but I'm not going to do that. Third time, third try on this hump day, Wednesday, March 4th, 2026, to get this show up and running. We went in 4 minutes the first time, retried it, went 6 minutes the second time. If it doesn't work this time, folks, then we're done. And good luck for the Tigers tonight. Let's get right into this LSU baseball versus ULL preview. It's the only thing we're going to discuss and talk about on the show today. I had another thing planned. I don't even know if I'm going to get to that, depending on time constraints. Remember, daily, we're brought to you by our friends over at Shield Heating and Cooling. You know the number 225-46 Bayou BAYU for your free AC system clean and check if you call that number. Just been one of those internet days that annoys you. But thank you, folks, for being patient with me. Let's get into this preview. So this game tonight, as I've said before on the first two tries of this show, of this hump day edition of the Babin on the Bayou show, to me, it's bigger. It's a bigger midweek game than your normal midweek game because of how you played in the past 5 games, going back to the McNeese game last Tuesday that you lost, and then the 4 games Friday through Monday this weekend. Your offense wasn't that good. They only batted 188 this weekend in the 3 games Friday through Sunday. The starting lineup only had 4 for 21 Monday in the loss to Northeastern. You really only had picked it up as a lineup when your younger guys came in the game, the guys that haven't gotten much playing time this season, but they came in the game late in the game Monday night and really had a spark, scoring 8 runs in the final 3 innings of that game. But your starting lineup, I mean, you could talk about, I believe the stat was the 4 guys between Curiel, Milam, Aaron Beatty, and York combined to go 7 for 49 in the 4 games this weekend, Friday through Monday, the 2 games against Dartmouth and the 2 games against Northeastern. And tonight's an important game because it's not only an in-state school that you're battling, it's sort of a rivalry. Like, there's history there, and ULL has fielded some good programs in the past when you look at it, and they're a good team this year. I mean, they lost ULL. When you look at them, they lost their first 2 games of the season, but since then they've won 9 of their last 10 games. They're 9-3 on the season, and their wins have come against some good competition. I'm not going to pretend to know how good Maryland Terrapin baseball is, but I know they're a regional host just a few years ago, and this ULL team swept Maryland in a weekend series. They last Tuesday and Wednesday in a 2-game midweek series, they swept Kansas State. They beat Missouri State this season. They beat Rice. They beat UC San Diego. So they've beaten some good competition. Now, I don't know how good Maryland and Kansas State are this year, quite frankly, but it's not, slouches or, anything like that. And they won 9 of their last 10. So they're on a heater, and a lot of the guys playing for their team are probably Louisiana guys who have always wanted to play for LSU. So they're wanting to come out tonight and prove themselves. It's LSU's first true road game of the season. They played 3 games in Jacksonville about a week and a half ago, but those were neutral site games. So it's going to be a raucous and rowdy environment in Lafayette tonight. I think that stadium's going to be packed and pretty full. I heard something that ULL's stadium is double the size of Vanderbilt Stadium in terms of seating capacity. And I think when you look at it, like, it's going to be a fun one tonight because of how good ULL has been, winning 9 of their last 10. You talk about their offensive philosophy. I know we said this before, the 2 times previous we tried to do this, but I'm running through this again. They just want to put the ball in play and put pressure on the defense, folks. That's kind of their MO. Through 12 games this season, ULL has stolen 23 bases. They have 10 bunts and 16 hit by pitches in only 12 games thus far this season. So they like to put the ball in play, put pressure on the fielding, put pressure on the defense. And that's something we haven't talked about a lot, but you did struggle with a little bit at times this weekend in the 2 games against Dartmouth and the 2 games against Northeastern. When you talk about the situation with Dardar committed 2 errors on Friday night, and then Monday night In your last game, your last loss against Northeastern on Monday night, you committed 4 errors defensively when you look at it. So I think this ULL team is going to try to put a ton of pressure on you defensively. Like that's what they're going to try to do. That's their MO and kind of their offensive philosophy. When you look at it, their numbers don't pop out at you offensively as a team. They're only hitting 254 as a team, which isn't that great. They do have 3 guys that are hitting over 300. Colt Brown is batting a team high 333 batting average from ULL, and then Rigoberto Hernandez and Maddox Mandino are the other 2 ULL players besides Colt Brown that are also hitting over 300. Maddox Mandino as well is also a top base stealer for the Raging Cajuns, along with Blaze Rodriguez. Mandino and Rodriguez have combined to steal 9 bases this season, while just between Mandino and Rodriguez alone, while LSU only has 10 stolen bases thus far as a team. So they put pressure on you defensively. So I think something to pay attention to going into this game tonight is the LSU defense gonna, pressure, when you look at it and all of that. And I think you had struggles a little bit and committed some sloppy errors and sloppy mistakes this weekend. I think you're gonna see pressure, especially be put on catcher Cade Aaron Beatty behind the plate, fielding the ball and throwing it as well, because when they get on base, they obviously like to steal and swipe bags. Like that's what they like to do and swipe bases. So that's from the offensive philosophy for ULL. Uh, as a pitching staff, so the offense for ULL isn't that impressive statistically, only batting 254, but the pitching staff has been kind of their strength. As a pitching staff, they have a 3.89 ERA as a pitching staff, so they've been pretty good. Opponents are hitting only 211 against ULL. They have given up 14 bombs in 12 games thus far this season, but that 3.89 ERA as a pitching staff through 12 games isn't anything to be disappointed in. That's actually pretty good with what they've been able to do. Tonight on the mound, there are 2 guys that you can expect to probably see starting. I would say the first one is right-hander Sawyer Pruitt. Sawyer Pruitt is a right-hander. Sawyer Pruitt is a right-hander for the Raging Cajuns. I expect him to possibly start on the mound. He actually played for Live Oak. He played at Live Oak in high school. Sawyer Pruitt, the right-hander. He's made a couple midweek starts this season, and Pruitt has not given up an earned run thus far in over 15 innings of work this season. That's a pretty good stat line for right-hander Sawyer Pruitt. He did throw 1 inning for ULL in their game on Sunday. So if Pruitt doesn't start, the other guy you could possibly see is a left-hander in Tyler Papenbrock. Tyler Papenbrock, the left-hander, started a midweek game last week against Kansas State for ULL, and he did not give up a run while only giving up 1 hit, 1 walk, and striking out 3, I believe, in a couple of innings, 4 or 5 innings. But he did pretty good last week, only giving up 1 hit against Kansas State. So you could see Papenbrock if you don't see Pruitt. But I would expect to see Pruitt. Looking back to LSU, I like Jaden Newt getting the start on the mound tonight. Now, obviously, I don't know, but I think Jaden Newt, he had his first outing of the season. He made a Monday start against Kent State that he struggled in through 3 innings. He struggled in that one a little bit, but I've liked how Newt has looked in his appearances since that start against Kent State to begin the season. I like how Newt has looked since then. When you look at it, and look, he's a veteran guy. He's got a good splitter. I really like the action on his splitter, what he's been able to do there, Jaden Newt. And I think you could see him tonight because he only threw Newt threw 6 pitches on Sunday for LSU against Dartmouth to close that game out, but it was only 6 pitches. So I would expect to see Newt tonight. And like I said, after that Kent State opening start he made, I like how Newt has looked in a relief role since that time. I do like Jaden Newt still, and I like his splitter, and I like his veteran presence. You could see there's 3 left-handers for LSU and Ethan Plog, Santiago Garcia, and Danny Lockenmeyer, who didn't really pitch over the weekend at all. So you could expect to see them, those 3 lefties, maybe. ULL has 8 everyday starters usually in their lineup that play every day. 4 of those starters hit left-handed. So I would expect to see one of those left-handers between Plog, Lockenmeyer, and Garcia, maybe even multiple of them, get action on the mound tonight. I'm interested to see because I do think it's an important game tonight for LSU. I'm interested to see if Gavin Guidry or Devin Sheeran or Maverick Rizzi, if one of those guys takes the mound maybe late in a close game. Guidry is coming off of 4 days rest after throwing 50 pitches on Friday against Dartmouth. Devin Sheeran is on 3 games rest. 3 days rest, excuse me. He threw 15 pitches in an outing Saturday against Northeastern, and then Maverick Rizzi threw 38 pitches on Sunday, and he's had 2 days of rest since pitching on Sunday against Dartmouth. I think this game is important. I think this game is important for LSU because of how you've looked in the past 5 games. You won 3 out of the last 5, but you lost to McNeese, you lost to Northeastern. You're kind of a little bit sluggish. You're in a little bit of a slump at the plate offensively. You want to pick that up. I've said I believe in Jay Johnson and his coaching staff to figure it out at the plate eventually. And then obviously you're in a great spot when it comes to your starting rotation with Evans, Moore, and Schmidt on the weekend. But tonight, you're not going to see any of those guys. So I would expect you would see Newt. I would expect you would be able to see Newt tonight. And then I do think that you possibly throw either Guidry, Rizzi, or Sheeran late in the game if the game is close, because I do feel like you're playing a good team tonight. It's an in-state rival. It's your first road game, your first game on the road. So I think this one's important. I think it's more important than normal midweek games because of how you played in the past 5 games as a team. And I'm really looking forward to this one tonight. Again, the Tigers' first true road game of the season. And ULL probably smells a little blood in the water. They probably see how LSU's been playing in their past 5 games and well, we won 9 of our last 10. So they're probably thinking to themselves, hey, we got a shot tonight, maybe. So I am interested in that game tonight. We could get into some SEC stuff as well. It's been a confusing day with this internet, folks. I've been battling it all day, to be honest with you. Again, I apologize. I can't really do anything about it. I did have some notes and storylines that I wanted to run through as far as SEC. I mean, there was a really big game between UCLA and Mississippi State in Arlington and Globe Life on Sunday that I kind of wanted to run through. We'll run through this a little bit, some of these storylines, and then we'll close the show out with just kind of one last thing I wanted to say about the game tonight. UCLA, these are a few college baseball storylines. I do this once a week, folks, for a segment. UCLA continues to be the best team in the country. They've been number 1 for the entire season in the D1 Baseball Top 25. In weekend number 2 for UCLA, they crushed a Top 25 TCU Horned Frog team in a 3-game weekend series sweep. And then this past weekend, they defeated 3 SEC teams in Globe Life in Arlington, Texas this weekend. UCLA beat Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Mississippi State. And meanwhile, they gave A&M and Mississippi State both their first losses of the season. Both of those teams were undefeated coming into those games against UCLA this season. Besides that, A&M, Mississippi State, and Tennessee both won their other 2 games of the weekend against Arizona State and Virginia Tech in Arlington. But again, UCLA has looked really, really good. They're the best team in the country right now. They're the best team in the country right now when you look at it. And then, there was a massive top 5 matchup on Sunday in Globe Life in Arlington between UCLA and number 4 Mississippi State. UCLA won an 8-7 game over Mississippi State in a 10-inning classic. Mississippi State tied the game after originally being down 3-0. the Bulldogs took a 5-3 lead into the ninth inning. Then UCLA scored 2 runs in the ninth with 2 outs to send the game to extras. UCLA scored 3 runs in the 10th, while Mississippi State scored 2 and finished just short in an 8-7 loss. And again, that was Mississippi State's first loss of the season. So an incredible game in a top 5 matchup in non-conference early in the season that you don't typically see. That was MSU's first loss of the season after starting the season 11-0. Rock Chalowski for UCLA, who a lot of people think is the best college baseball player in the country. Chalowski hit a 2-run bomb in the game against MSU. Reed Stallman from Mississippi State hit 2 homers in the game. Ryder Woodson hit 3 doubles for MSU. And MSU out-hit UCLA 14-8, but ended up losing the game 8-7 in the end. Again, in a top 5 matchup in non-conference play on Sunday in Arlington, which you don't see a lot of the time. And then Mississippi State followed that by losing to Southern Miss in Hattiesburg last night, 7-6. Another storyline I wanted to point out, Southern Miss has been a really good team. Southern Miss is a really good team. They're 11-1 on the season. They beat Alabama, an SEC school, in a midweek game last week. They beat Mississippi State last night, who their only loss on the season had been the UCLA, and they're a top 5 team. And Southern Miss just entered the D1 baseball top 10 on Monday in the new top 25 that D1 baseball releases every Monday. So pay attention to the Golden Eagles of Southern Miss. A few more stats. Florida beat Miami in 2 games in Coral Gables over the weekend. The Sunday game in that series was rained out, but Florida beat Miami on Friday and Saturday before that Sunday game was rained out. And Vandy, the Commodores, the team that LSU plays, opens SEC play against in a week and a half. LSU traveling to Nashville. Vandy is on a little bit of a they're struggling right now. They've lost 4 games in a row. They lost all 3 games this weekend competing in the Live Like Lou Las Vegas Classic. They lost to UC Irvine, Arizona, and Oregon. And then they lost to Central Arkansas Tuesday night, yesterday, in a midweek game. Did want to just run through a few SEC notes there. As far as tonight, look, again, I think it's a big game. I think it's you want to establish momentum. You want to establish momentum and be able to do that again, because your last 5 games, you won 3 of them, you've lost 2 of them, but you're a little bit sluggish, especially offensively. I still believe in this team's talent and this team's ability. And then another thing, I would like to see this pitching staff put in a good performance in a midweek game, because your last 2 games, really not counting your starters on the weekend with Schmidt, Evans, and Moore, you look back to giving up 7 runs early in the game against McNeese and then giving up 10 runs in the first 3 innings Monday night in the game against Northeastern. So I would really like to see this pitching staff put in a good performance on the mound in a midweek game. I'm really looking forward to this one tonight. I think it's going to be a close one, and I think it's going to be a competitive one. Again, ULL is not a bad team, folks. They are a good baseball team offensively. They want to put the ball in play and put pressure on the opposing defense to field the ball, and then expect maybe Sawyer Pruitt on the mound, if not him, Tyler Papenbrock. But I'm really looking forward to this one. Excited about it, folks. Again, I am sorry about the internet and the Wi-Fi issues. Unfortunate, been really annoying today. I did something just then before we did this third try around, and it ended up working. It ended up working pretty much, folks. But I'm going to get out of here. I wish you a great night. Happy Wednesday. Thank you, as always, for tuning into the show. God bless. Enjoy the game tonight. Let's go out and beat those Raging Cajuns of ULL. Hopefully the Tigers can get it done tonight. Again, folks, thank you as always for tuning into the show. Remember, as always, God bless, go Tigers, and have a great one.